Okay, so in the last class, what we were talking about was about the Greek world and the Roman world. I hope you all remember what we were discussing. New Testament was New Testament is considered to be a product of three worlds. First one is the Greek world, second one is the Roman world, and third one is the Jewish world. In the last class, we had a brief discussion on the Greek world, okay, how the Greek world was influencing the New Testament. I hope we stopped at Hellenistic era, right? Is that what we discussed in the last class? Hellenistic era. Did we talk about Antiochus Epiphanes? I think
Yes,
so.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we talked about Antiochus Epiphanes. So in the Hellenistic era, this time, especially in the 2nd century, Antiochus Epiphanes and his cruelty towards the Jewish people is considered to be one of the most cruel thing that a person or a ruler can do with a religion. Okay, so Antiochus Epiphanes and his idea of Hellenizing the Jewish religion and also Palestine was a turning point in the life of Jewish religion. Okay, we stopped, we paused there. Now we will look into the Maccabean period. Maccabean period. There, what was happening right after Antiochus Epiphanes and his Hellenizing process? He came inside the Jerusalem temple, took out all the equipments, all the money, and desecrated, okay, emptied the Jerusalem temple, sacrificed the pig, put up a statue. So all the abominable thing he did. Obviously, such kind of an act will have its response. And we call that period as Maccabean period. Okay, Mattathias and his son, they fought against, they began to have battle against Antiochus Epiphanes and also some of his followers. It is a very long history, but I don't want to explain all those. But only one thing keep in mind: this period is called as the Maccabean period, and this period is called as the Maccabean period, and they in fact won the war. Okay, they in fact won the war, and their way of fighting was called to be guerrilla war. That means they used weapons and all against the rulers. Okay, that's all about the Maccabean period. They actually ruled the nation, Palestinian nation, for around 100 years. From just give me 1 minute. Just give me, all of you, please. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, so I'm sorry, some of our students came. That is why I had to go there. Yeah. So Maccabean period, Mattathias and his sons, they were fighting against the Antiochus Epiphanes and the rulers, and they won, and they began their rule in Palestine. And this period is called as the Maccabean period, beginning from 167 BC to 63 BCE. And next to that, what is happening after this period? the Roman influence is coming. Okay, after this period, Roman influence. 63 onwards, the Roman influence is coming. But before that, we have to look into the influences given by Hellenism. Okay, the influences given by Hellenism. One by one, we will look into that. What was the influence of Hellenism or Greek idea, Greek rule and culture upon the people? This is what we are going to look at. And some of you were asking in the previous class, what was happening in between the 400 years before New Testament and after the prophetical age, what was happening? This is what happening. What were the influences? First one, there was cultural influence. Okay, there was cultural influence. In the last class, I told you, in the last class, how the British rulers had an influence upon the Indian society. In the same way, Hellenism had an influence upon the Palestinian society. Culturally, they were very influential. Okay. Next one is philosophical influence. Okay, tell me, who were the main philosophers of the Greek rule, so Greek time? Any idea? Who were the main philosophers of the Greek times?
So Socrates.
Okay. Socrates, Aristotle, and Plato. These three were called as the trio, philosophical trio in the Greek world. Okay. So they had a great influence upon the people, especially those who are under Greco-Roman world. That philosophy, especially which began in the 4th century BCE. Okay. Socrates, Aristotle and Plato, they lived in 4th century or 5th century, that time onwards, they were really philosophical. They were, they had really good intellectual ability. They taught others how to live. What is the philosophical understanding? What are the root causes of the creation? Okay, who is the creator? They begin to ask if there should be all these the world and all these human beings, if they should exist, there should be a creator behind this. And they articulated all these philosophically. Okay, all the three philosophers, and they had a real influence upon the people. Can we find such kind of philosophers in the 1st century? Any example can you give me? Do we find any philosophers in the 1st century? Okay. Can you read Acts of Apostles, chapter 17, verse 18? Please read Acts 17:18. There are so many people in front of me, but please read. Are you all there? Or you do not have the Bible with you? Is that the problem? Yeah.
Yes, sir. And certain philosophers of the Epicureans, one of the Stoics, disputed with him, and some said, "What is it that this word-sower would say?" But others, "He seemeth to be a setter forth of new gods, because he preached to them Jesus and the resurrection."
Yeah, enough. So when Paul was teaching in Athens, there came some groups of philosophers. Who were they? Epicureans and Stoic philosophers. Okay, Epicureans and Stoic philosophers. See, even in the 1st century, the philosophical ideologies which had emerged in the Greek times, in the 4th and 5th century BCE had an influence upon the society. Among the common people, there were philosophers, especially this Epicurean philosophy. Have you heard about them? Epicurean philosophy and also Stoic philosophy. I hope those who studied BTH and all earlier, they might have known about these philosophers, Stoic philosophers and Epicurean philosophers. Epicureanism had a very great influence upon the people. Especially Epicureans were called to be, liberal people. Do you know what did they believe? Epicureans believed that eat and be merry. Tomorrow you are going to die. Have you heard about this? I hope you might have read this. Eat and be merry. Tomorrow you are going to die. This idea was emerged from these kind of philosophers, Stoic and Epicurean philosophers. Even this idea was there in Luke's Gospel. Have you seen that? Please read Luke's Gospel, chapter 12, verse 19. Can anybody help me in reading, please? 12:19.
So can I read in Kannada?
Oh, sure.
12:19. ಸರಕುಗಳನ್ನು ತುಂಬಿಟ್ಟು ನನ್ನ ಜೀವಾತ್ಮನಕ್ಕೆ ಜೀವವೇ, ಅನೇಕ ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಾದಷ್ಟು ಸರಕು ನಿನಗೆ ಬಿದ್ದಿದೆ, ವಿಶ್ರಮಿಸಿಕೋ, ಊಟ ಮಾಡು, ಕುಡಿ, ಸುಖಪಡು ಎಂದು ಹೇಳುವೆನು ಅಂದುಕೊಂಡನು.
Yeah, see, take your ease, eat, drink and be merry. It is not Jesus's words. It was from the philosophical roots. Again, one more time, I'll tell you where it is. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 32. Please read 1 Corinthians 15:32.
ನಾನು ಎಫೆಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೃಗಗಳೊಂದಿಗೆ ಯುದ್ಧ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಕೇವಲ ಮನುಷ್ಯಾಭಿಪ್ರಾಯದಿಂದಾದರೆ ನನಗೇನು ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ? ಸತ್ತವರು ಎದ್ದು ಬರುವುದಿಲ್ಲವಾದರೆ ತಿನ್ನೋಣ, ಕುಡಿಯೋಣ.
Yeah, continue. Yes, please continue. Let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we will die. Eat and drink, tomorrow we are going to die. And if you check 1 Corinthians 15:32, you can see that in quotation or in capital letters. Why? Because this was a idea taken from other philosophy which was existed in the 1st century. Okay, so Greco-Roman philosophy was really influential during those days. Next one, linguistic influence. Linguistic influence. What is the meaning of linguistic influence? I told you. New Testament was completely written in Greek language. Why? It was because of this Hellenistic influence. In the New Testament there is a verse, I hope you remember. In the fullness of time, Jesus came, Christ came to this world. In the fullness of time. What is the fullness of time? God prepared everything for the arrival of Messiah. Especially when we consider the language was spread. There was a common language. Okay, just imagine with me, if the Greek language was not there as a common language, how will the Bible or gospel will be reaching to the other world? It will never. Okay, if there was no common language like a Greek, Jesus will preach in Aramaic and most probably in Hebrew that can be translated. Other than that, the Bible or New Testament gospel will not reach anywhere. So that means God prepared everything beforehand. Through the Hellenistic idea, through the linguistic influence of the Greek language, the gospel was spread all throughout the world through Asia Minor, then to Europe, then to Africa, then to other parts of the world. So linguistic influence, the Hellenistic linguistic influence was very much, we can see from New Testament. Next one is athletic influence. Athletic. Do you know what is the meaning of athletic? Athletic.
Sports.
Yeah, sports. See, the Greco-Roman time, especially the Greek world, was really famous for athletics. Very famous for athletics. From where the Olympics originated? Any idea? The modern Olympics? It was from Athens. Athens. The modern Olympics originated from Athens only. That means Greek people were really interested in entertainment. They wanted always, they wanted to be joyous, happy. And the only thing is, the difference between our entertainment and their, way of doing that is they had cruelty towards animals and also human beings. I hope you remember, if you might have seen in some of the books and all, or some of the videos and all, you might have seen how they were having fun, in the field, like fighting with animals, fighting with human beings in between. And you might have heard about gladiators. Anybody heard about gladiators? Gladiators were the healthy people taken from Africa or some other countries. They will be slaves. Okay, there will be masters and slaves, and they will give good food and all, for food and equipments and all for these people. For what purpose? To fight for them. Okay, and these gladiators will go and fight against animals and also against other slaves. And if they are winning, it will bring profit to the master. Okay, so slavery was existent, and also gladiators were existent during those days. So they were really interested in athletic. And tell me now, all of you, please think and tell me now, do we see athletic ideas in the New Testament? Do we see sports in New Testament?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Several times. Several
Yes,
times
yes.
we see. Where is it? Can you find one or two verses? Can you read 1 Corinthians 9:24 onwards? Please read. Anyone? Even in Kannada also you can read, no problem.
Do you know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. Every
just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute.
exercises self-control.
Just 1 minute. So is she your daughter reading? Good, very good. Yeah.
No, sir, I'm reading.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah,
no, you're
Ophelia.
fine. Okay. So 1 Corinthians 9:24. There we read, those who run in a race, only one receives the prize. Run in such a way that you may win. Okay, you may win. So Paul, some of the scholars, they say that Corinthian city in Achaia and in Corinth, the stadiums were there where people run together. Okay, have you seen Colosseums or stadium kind of thing which was existed during Greco-Roman world? Colosseums, where people can gather together, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 people can gather together, and they will sit around. Okay, and in the middle there is a very huge space. There either people will fight, otherwise people will run. Okay, so in such kind of a imagery, Paul is bringing in, and he's telling, those who run in a race, only one receives the prize. So run in such a way that you may win. So running imagery is there in the New Testament. Please read 25. Please read 25.
Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we an imperishable. So I do not run aimlessly. I do not
Okay,
walk
just
as one.
wait, just wait. The one who is competing in a game, they will exercise. Okay, their bodily exercise. In exercise, the term used is gymnazo. Gymnazo. Do you know what is the meaning of gymnazo? What do you do with in the gym? When you go to gym, you exercise, right? You make your body fit. All right. So there also we can see gymnads or gymnasium is used in that particular words. Then again, can you read 26?
So I do not run aimlessly. I do not box as one beating the air, but I
Wait. I do not box. So now the running imagery is over. Now he is bringing fighting imagery. Okay, boxing. I box in such a way as not beating the air. Okay, so that means plenty of athletic imageries are used in the New Testament. One more example I'll give you. So many examples I can give you, but no, because of the time, I will just bring one more. Can you read? Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1? Familiar verse. Yes, please. Hebrews 12, 1.
Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us,
Okay,
looking to
the writer,
Jesus, the founder and
enough. So the writer of Hebrews again bringing another imagery. A person who is running the race. And this is a very familiar verse for all of us. But I always, when I read this portion, there is a very deeper understanding behind this. He is bringing a person who is running inside the stadium. Okay, just all of you, please imagine with me. There is a big stadium. Okay, thousands of people are, sitting together, and you are running. A Christian is running the race. The author is imagining that. And, there is a particular word, therefore. See, in verse 1, therefore, we have a great cloud of witnesses. So the author is imagining that he or she is running a race. And there a cloud of witnesses in the gallery. People are sitting together and encouraging him. Johnson, you can run the race. Sudarshan, you can run the race. Brother Vijay Kumar, he can run the race. Okay, the author is imagining that, and telling they are clapping for you, so you can run the race. Now tell me, please, all of you think and tell me, who is that sitting there in the gallery? Who all are there sitting? A great cloud of witnesses. Who are they?
So they are Old Testament saints.
Yeah, very good. Old Testament saints. Why? Because the chapter is beginning with therefore. In Greek, it is on. On means therefore. That means we have to look back. If there is a particular word like therefore, we have to look back. And what is happening in chapter 11? In chapter 11, we see the faith heroes list. Okay, Abraham, Enoch, then then Abel, then so many people's names are Moses, Gideon, Barak, Shimshon, all the names are there. And in chapter 12, the author is telling, therefore, since these people are there in the gallery, they have finished the race. They have done well. Abraham was an idolater. Okay, Moses he used to get angry very fast. Everybody had their own limitations, but they had finished well in their race. If so, we are surrounded by these witnesses, we can also run the race faithfully. This is what the author is telling. So for bringing that meaning, the author is, bringing in a athletic imagery. So just imagine with me how much athletics of the Greco-Roman world had influenced the New Testament. You understand? So whenever you come across a athletic imagery, please go behind the backgrounds of that. Go to the first century world where the Hellenistic athletics were in, everywhere it was there. And you have to go back to that times and understand the meaning. All right. So this is how athletic language have influenced the New Testament. Then next one, literature. See, Hellenistic times or Greek times were a time of writing, copying, editing, and all. Okay. Just for example, I told you in the last class, I think, which was the Bible used by Jesus and Paul. Most probably, Jesus might have used the Aramaic translation. Paul might have used the Greek translation of the Old Testament. So that means literature, writing, copying, editing was there everywhere. That is why we get the complete Bible now. Otherwise, if the literature was not there, literary writing and literary activities were not there, we won't get all these documents. So literature was also another major influence that we see when we consider New Testament. Even drama was also everywhere. I don't exactly remember the Bible words where Paul is talking about a person and his quotation. I forgot. If it is possible, I will include that in the notes. Okay, a person's quotations Paul is taking in somewhere in the New Testament. Okay, so that means drama was also very much influential in the Hellenistic world. So these are the main influences that we see from Greek world: cultural influence, philosophical influence, linguistic influence, athletic influence, literature, and drama. Okay, I hope you got a clear understanding about Hellenism and Greek influences. Any doubts or questions? If you want to ask, you can ask. Okay, so next one, the Roman period. Okay, next period is the Roman period. What is happening in the Roman during Roman period? In BC 63, Pompey came to Palestine, and he brought Palestine under the Roman rule. Okay, then right after that, Augustus Caesar became the Roman emperor. He became the Roman emperor, and almost all the places which was under the Hellenistic rule, under the Greek rule, now came under Roman period. So BC 63 onwards, there began Roman period, and it extended till 476 AD. Okay, but always remember, the first period of Roman time was quite powerful, but afterwards the Roman power reduced considerably. Anyway, Roman period began from 63 BCE by Pompey, and it extended till 476 AD. Okay, and the first emperor of Roman period was Augustus Caesar. Tell me where we see Augustus Caesar in New Testament. Where do we see Augustus Caesar?
Sir, during Jesus, when he was caught by the Romans.
When Jesus is born, okay, when
Oh,
Jesus
yes.
is born, Augustus Caesar was the ruler. Okay, he was the ruler. Okay, and during Jesus's death time, most probably, Tiberius Caesar or some followers might be there. We don't know. Okay, so Augustus Caesar was the ruler when Jesus' birth happened. That is what we see from Luke's gospel. Okay, so Augustus Caesar was the first Roman emperor. He ruled all the Roman Empire. Okay, now just look at the Palestine during Jesus' time. Can you all see that? Please check the screen. I'm sharing a map upon the screen. Please, all of you, look at that. Are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So look at the Palestinian map where Jesus lived, please. There are three main sections. You can see in the left side, there is Galilee. Then next to that, there is Samaria. Then next to that, there is Judea. These are the main places in Palestine. On the other hand, we can see Perea and also, Decapolis and all there. But Perea was part of, Israel or Palestine. But the problem is in Perea, those who lived there was mostly outsiders, a mixed community. Okay, so that is what the reason Jesus always traveled through Judea, Samaria, and Galilee. These were the main places where Jesus traveled. One more reason is there why Jesus did not go to Perea and all. Why? Can you see that from the map? There is another main reason. It was, he cannot travel to Perea and all. Very impossible. Why? There was a rift in between. See, that is called Jordan Rift. Okay, beginning from Syria, and it is coming through Palestine and going down to Africa. Jordan Rift. So because of that, if you want to travel to Perea and all, you have to cross that river. It was very difficult for them. So because of this reason, Jesus traveled and ministered only in Judea, Samaria, and Galilee. Okay, then I will just briefly tell you about these three places. What is the importance of Judea? What is the importance of Samaria? And what is the importance of Galilee? Judea was the place where the Jerusalem temple existed. Okay, Judea was the place where the Jerusalem temple existed. And all the wealthy ones were there in Judea. All the wealthy ones were there in Judea. And there we can see these places like Jerusalem, Bethany, Bethlehem, Jericho, Bethel. Okay, we see that in the New Testament several times, Bethany, Jericho, and all. So this is the place. Judea, in Judea, Jerusalem temple existed. Almost all the Sadducees were there in Judea. Almost all the Sadducees, they were there in Judea. Why? Because they are closely related to the temple. All right. So that is what Judea is all about. Then let us come to Galilee now. Galilee. Galilee was a place where most of the agricultural lands were there. Farmers, peasants. Okay. So Galilee was famous for agriculture, peasantry, and also one more thing, fishing. Okay. So the first part of Jesus' ministry began in Galilee. That is where Jesus is meeting with Peter, Andrew, John, all those people in Galilee. Why? In Galilee, the community the people were farmers and also peasants and also fishermen in Galilee. And don't think that in the left side we can see the great Mediterranean Sea, but Peter and all, they were not fishing from Mediterranean Sea. Rather, can you see there is a small sea in between that is called Sea of Galilee? Can you see that in between those places there is a small Sea of Galilee? That was where Peter and all, they were going for fishing. Okay, Jesus walking on the water, it also happened there in Sea of Galilee. Okay, so Judea and Galilee. Then there is a place in between. That place is called Samaria. Are you all listening? Are you all there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So in between, there is a place called Samaria. What is the importance of that place? Tell me, if you know.
Sir, was it a place of Gentiles? Non-Jews?
Okay. It is not exactly Gentiles. We cannot say that it is Gentiles, but there is a long history. I don't want to go to the roots of that, but still briefly I will explain. After the division of Israelite kingdom, it was divided into two, right? After Solomon, it was divided into two. So after that time, the Babylonian captivity is happening. So many people were taken to Babylonian captivity. During that time, these places were vacant. Samaria, this place was vacant. And what is happening? From other countries like Peria and all, they were Gentiles. They came inside Samaria. They began to live there in Samaria. But the problem is when the Israelites came back, okay, when the Israelites came back, they began to mingle with these Gentile people. And even they began to get married with these Gentile people. So Samaria was called to be a mixed community, or in our terms, we will call it as syncretic. Syncretic means mixed, intercaste. Okay. So what is happening? Those people, those who are in Judea and also those who are in Galilee, they always considered Samaritans, those who are living in Samaria, as non-Jewish people. Are you understanding? Galileans and Judeans, they considered Samaritans as non-Jewish people. In fact, they were Jewish people. They got into marital relationship with other Gentiles, and their descendants, their children were also Jewish people. But the problem is others did not accept Samaritans as Jewish people. Okay, so they always look down upon, just like in today's Indian context, Brahmins and all the higher caste looking down upon the Dalits and all. In the same way, Galileans and Judeans were looking down upon Samaritans. Understand? This is the importance of Samaria. And there is an interesting factor. In first century time, even before that, the Judeans and Galileans, they rarely walked through Samaria, because the Israelite society, their religion was totally exclusive. So they don't want to talk to Gentiles. They don't want to walk through Gentile region. They don't want to interact with them, because they considered themselves to be higher caste. That superiority was there among Galileans and Judeans. Because of that, these Judeans, Jewish people, will never walk through Samaria. Now you can connect this historical background to one New Testament portion. Where is it? I hope that came into your mind suddenly. Where is it?
Sir, when Jesus went to take water from that lady.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. John chapter 4. Please read. John chapter 4, verse 4. Can you read that? 4 verse 4.
To pass and he had to pass through Samaria.
Okay,
So he
wait. Enough. Thank you. He had to pass through Samaria. Very interesting way John is writing that material. Okay, that story. A particular word is used there. Have you seen that? And he had to pass through Samaria. What is the meaning? He had to pass through Samaria. See, if Jesus walked through Samaria, John could have written like Jesus went through Samaria. That was enough. But there, look at the verse. He had to. Can you read it in Kannada, please? Let me see what is there in Kannada. I will read in Malayalam. Avan Samariyil Kudi Kadannu Pogendi Vannu. That means he is forcefully going, taking a decision to go through Samaria. Okay, that is what the meaning there. He had to take a decision to go through Samaria. Now you can connect this verse to the historical background. Why Jesus is taking such a decision? Because none of the Jewish people will go through Samaria. They don't want to go through Samaria because they were considered to be outcast, Gentile people, non-Jewish people. But Jesus is taking a decision. Why? Jesus knew that there is a woman waiting for me. There is a city waiting for me where the gospel should be preached. And Jesus is taking a decision to pass through Samaria. Intentionally, he's going through Samaria. Very interesting way John is writing that. Then again, you can read, please. Verse 9. Verse 9. Please read.
the men said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a woman of Samaria? For
Okay.
Jews have..."
For the Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. See, for the Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. Why? This is the, we should consider the geographical and the historical condition. Samaritans were considered to be the outcasts of Jewish society. And if you look further, you can see, in fact, they were Jewish people, and even they were expecting a Messiah. If you read further, you can understand that the woman is waiting for a Messiah, and they have their own temple. Other than the Jerusalem temple, they have a temple in the mountain. Okay. Oh, all right. So this is the historical background and geographical background that we have to keep in mind. All right. Jesus traveled through all these places: Judea, Samaria, and Galilee. Now, in the last class, I told you, most probably Jesus traveled only around 250 or 300 miles. That means maximum 400 kilometers. That will be around from Bangalore till Kochi. Okay, Bangalore till Kochi, or Bangalore till I don't know, Chennai or Kanyakumari. That's all. Jesus traveled only that much, not more than that. But within few years, the gospel, even after Jesus' death, the gospel traveled very fast. Okay. All right. Have you understood that geographical background, the Palestinian land, and the geographical importance of that? I hope you understood. Any doubts or questions, if you can ask, we will just move to next one. The larger Roman map, the Roman Empire. Yes.
Sir, when these people, the Jewish people, didn't you go through Samaria? Then in case they had to go for some work from Judea to Galilee, which way they used to adopt, sir?
Most probably they will take the water. See, the sea voyage there. You can see a Jordan rift in between. See that? There was a Jordan rift in between. So they will take a sea voyage through that way. And we don't know, there would be some way they had opened to pass through Galilee to Judea. We don't know, no historical evidences are there. But what we can assume is that they wanted to intentionally avoid Samaria, and obviously they will take the route through the Jordan Rift. There you can see a sea, beginning from Sea of Galilee, and it is coming downwards. You see that? A
Yes,
water
sir.
stream. So through that way they might be traveling. Okay. All right. The larger Roman Empire. See, whenever we look into this map, please imagine with me. The previous one, you should imagine the Gospels. Now we are entering into the Roman world. So now you should imagine all the epistles and also Revelation, book of Revelation, and even Acts of Apostles. Please imagine with me, because it is very important. These maps are very important. All right. This was the map of Paul's missionary journey. And find some places. Can you find where Paul was born? Tarsus, Cilicia. It is there in the right hand under Cappadocia. Okay. Then below that we can see Antioch and Syria. Below that we can see Judea, Jerusalem, and Caesarea. Can you see that? Israel. Downside we can see Israel. So see, Israel or Palestine is a very small land compared to the whole Roman world. Very small land. Okay. And Paul was traveling through that Syria, coming to Damascus. That way he was struck by the lightning, and he had the revelation of Jesus. Then he is going back to Syria, then to Antioch, then to other places like Galatia, Asia Minor, Laodicea, then to Thessalonica, Berea, and all. Okay. The right hand side, it is called as Asia Minor. And in the left hand side, the upper left hand side, that is called as Europe. Okay. So now you can imagine with me what is happening in Acts of Apostles. From Jerusalem, the gospel traveled through other places, to Syria, to Antioch, to Tarsus, to Galatia, to Asia Minor, then to Ephesus, then to Athens, then to Berea, Thessalonica, then to other European land, Philippi and all. Okay, so I hope you got a basic understanding about the Roman Empire. Any doubts or questions you want to ask regarding this one? If not, we will just move into what was the influences from Roman rule. Roman influences in the New Testament. We looked into see the Greek influences or Hellenistic influences. Now Roman influences. As we have discussed already, from BC 63 onwards, the Roman rule came up. When Jesus was born, when Paul was doing ministry, when all the New Testament writings were happening, Romans were in power. They were the rulers. They were the rulers. They were really powerful. They were really powerful. And all the emperors, they were called as Caesars. Caesar. All the Roman rulers were called as Caesars. Okay. But there is a problem. That means these emperors, these Caesars were supposed to be worshipped. This is what we call as emperor worship or imperial cult. Okay, imperial cult or emperor worship that we can see, the all throughout New Testament, especially in Book of Revelation. In Book of Revelation, we see the emperor worship and imperial cult. The emperors are demanding people to worship them. Even some of the historians, they say that Augustus Caesar and his followers, they were really interested in calling themselves to be God, Son of God, Savior and all. Okay? This is what we call as emperor worship or imperial cult. So now in Indian situation, now in India, government is supporting the religion, right? Their government is supporting their main religion in India. But during Roman days, what was happening? The government itself was the religion. The Roman ruler, he himself is the God. That was the concept. That is what we calling as emperor worship or imperial cult. Then another influence is Pax Romana. Any idea what is the meaning of Pax Romana? Can anybody tell? What is the meaning of, have you heard about this word, Pax Romana? Okay, I hope you don't. Pax Romana means the peace of Rome. Okay, if you are writing down notes, please note down. Pax Romana simply means the peace of Rome. What is the meaning of peace of Rome? I'll tell you. Just imagine with me, the Greek rule, Alexander the Great and his followers, they went around all throughout the world and, tried to bring all the people under their rule. It was a time of battle, war and all. But when the Roman rulers came, what do? They said, the idea was no more war and battle. Okay, no more war and battle. Instead, we will establish peace inside the Roman rule. Understand? We will establish peace inside the Roman Empire. So they were aiming at, they were focusing on peace and prosperity. And they gave the name Pax Romana, peace of Rome. But the only, the factor is that the Pax Romana, peace of Rome, was only in their idea. In fact, there was no peace. But still, at least in their idea, there existed a peace. And they do not want to, get into war with any other countries. Whatever the territory we have now, it is enough. Okay, it was their idea. We don't want to enlarge our territory. Whatever we have, it is enough. We want to bring peace inside the Roman rule. Okay, this is what their idea was, Pax Romana. So what was the benefit of it? If there is no war and all, what is the benefit of it? Now the war between Ukraine and Russia going on. And because of that, what is happening? All around the world, economic crisis, then food items are, oil is, edible oil is getting higher cost now. Why? Because of the war which is happening. Petrol, higher cost. That means when the war and battle will go on, people will have less money with them. Even the government will have less money. If there is no war and battle, then there will be peace and prosperity within the countries. Okay, so they can spend that money for other purposes like development, the construction of the buildings. This is what Pax Romana is all about. The Roman government decided that no more battles with other world. We want to bring peace and prosperity inside the Roman territory. And it was, in a way, they established that. They made good roads. Throughout the Roman Empire, they made good roads. Good sea voyage. What is the meaning of sea voyage? Sea routes. Sea routes. They established. And some of the cities like Corinth, then Ephesus, Athens and all, it became very famous and very developed during those days. Why? Because of this Pax Romana. Because Roman government gave more money for development. Even we can see that in Palestine, Jerusalem temple was renovated under Herod. Okay, Jerusalem temple was renovated. Why? The government gave money for that. So Pax Romana was not just an idea, it was implemented throughout the Roman Empire. It was a time of prosperity, development, construction, and all, building of roads, building of sea voyage, and all. Now you can imagine with me how it was influential for the Bible, New Testament, and Gospel, because they established a good road system, and all the apostles and all, they used this road system to preach the gospel. We see in Acts of Apostles, Paul is traveling through sea voyage, sea route, and he is taking that as a benefit from Pax Romana. So obviously, Pax Romana was an influential factor for the spread of the gospel. Okay, so this is how Roman influence came, influenced the New Testament. Now, next one is the Roman citizenship. All those who are under the Roman rule, they should have citizenship. It was a common agenda, custom during those days. All those who are under the Roman rule, they should get citizenship. Tell me one person who was having Roman citizenship in the New Testament. Can you read with me? Acts chapter.
Paul, sir, Paul.
Yeah, please read where it is. Acts chapter 22, verse 25 onwards. Paul is asking, is it lawful for you to scourge a man who is a Roman and uncondemned? So that means if you are a Roman citizen, you have some privileges. If you have the card with you, the Roman citizenship card with you, I don't know whether there was a card or not, but anyway, some document will be there as a Roman citizen. So if you have that, then you have some privileges. One privilege is you can travel all around, no restriction for traveling. Then next one, you cannot be beaten up by anybody without going into the court. So only when the court is allowing them to punish, you can punish. Otherwise, this person should not be punished. So some privileges were there for the Roman citizenship. Okay, in the next verse, the commander is asking, are you a Roman citizen? Because he was afraid. See, by knowing Paul is a Roman citizen, the commander, the centurion, he was afraid. And he's asking, are you a Roman citizen? And he is telling, yes. In next verse, 28, please read that. Verse 28, how he got it. Acts 22:28.
The tribune answered, I bought this citizenship for a large sum.
And Paul said, yeah.
Paul said, but I am a citizen by birth.
See, the centurion is telling, I bought this citizenship for a large sum of money. He gave so much of money to get the privileges. While what about Paul? Paul got this citizenship by birth. So there is a doubt. There is a question now. How come a Jewish person, Paul, got the Roman citizenship? Why? Because some of the scholars, especially a scholar named N.T. Wright, he's telling that Paul's father or great grandfather, they went away from Palestine to other countries like Cilicia and Tarsus and all. They lived there. They were slaves, and they got improvement or appointment in higher statuses. Then most probably a slave became a ruler or a citizen. Then through that genealogy, through that lineage, Paul also got citizen. Anyway, Paul was born in Tarsus. Because of that, he got the citizenship. So Roman citizenship was very important in the first century, that you should Keep in mind, when you read Acts of Apostles, why Paul can travel all throughout, why Paul was, getting so many benefits from the Roman government, because he was a Roman citizen. All right. Next one is mystery religions. Under the Roman rule, there were so many mystery religions, mysterious religions that we can see. One example, can you give me from Acts of Apostles? When Paul was going to Areopagus and he preached a sermon there. Please come to that. Acts chapter 17. Acts chapter 17, verse 22 onwards. Men of Athens, I observe that you are very religious in all respects. And when I was passing through and examining the objects of your worship, I also found an altar with his inscription, to an unknown God. So there is a God, and the God's name is unknown God. Mysterious religions. Understand? So this kind of religions were there, existed throughout Roman Empire. Okay, mystery religions, mysterious religions were there, existed. That the presence of that we can see in the New Testament. Then another influence is Roman law. See, Greek rulers were not interested in laws, rules, and all. Laws were obviously there, but Roman law was more powerful than the Greek law. And they, implemented the law all throughout the Roman rule or Roman Empire. Okay, that also, in a way, reflected in the New Testament, especially when Paul is writing in Romans chapter 13, 1-7. You be subject to the authorities. Which authorities Paul is referring to? To the Roman law, the Roman rule. You be subject to them. Okay, so Roman law was also very influential in the New Testament times. So I hope you understood both the backgrounds, the Greek background and the Roman background. The Greek background, the Greek influence was upon culture and language, while the Roman influence is upon, politically. The political influence was there from the Roman rulers. Any doubts or questions? Otherwise, clarifications needed, you can ask. Else, we will just move into the next main topic. Any doubts or questions? Okay, I'm happy that everything is clear to you. No doubts. Good. Next one, the main one. Okay, the Jewish world. I told you in the beginning, New Testament is a product of three worlds. First one, Greek world. Second one, Roman world. Third one is Jewish world. So Greek and the Roman world we have already discussed. Third one is the Jewish world. Okay. The main aspects in Jewish religion. Their main aspects in Jewish religion. Let us look into that. First one is Torah. Torah. What is the meaning of Torah? Tell me. What is the meaning of Torah?
Law, sir.
The law. The law. And linguistically, we use this Torah for the first 5 books of the Bible. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. These first 5 books are called as the law given by Moses. Okay. So Torah simply means the law, the rules and regulations which was given for the Jewish people. And Torah has 2 dimensions or 2 subsections. First one is the written Torah or written law, while second one is the oral Torah. So written Torah or written law is the first 5 books of the Bible given through Moses. Moses is the one who is giving them the the law. So that is the written Torah. While on the other hand, there is another one that is the oral Torah. Oral Torah. What is the meaning of oral Torah? Any idea? What is the meaning of oral Torah? Okay, I'll tell you. Oral Torah was existent among the Jewish societies. Oral Torah can be, interpretation of the written Torah, otherwise some customs and tradition which was unwritten. Some rules and regulations are there which is unwritten. Okay. For example, in the New Testament, when Jesus and disciples were walking through the grain field, okay, so they are and it was a Sabbath day, and the disciples began to eat the grains. Suddenly, Pharisees, they are coming and they are telling, is it not written in the Bible, in the Torah, that you should not eat grains? Actually, in the Old Testament, just mentioned that you should take rest. It is a day of rest. Other than that, no direct mentioning of not to eat this, not to eat that. No, it was not there. From where it came then? This is called oral Torah. In addition to the written Torah, they added so many extra, what we call norms, rules, and regulations. This is what we call as the oral Torah. Okay. I hope you understood the difference between written Torah and oral Torah. It was there, existed. But anyway, Torah was really a part of the Jewish society, Jewish religion. Without the Torah, they cannot exist. Okay. Torah was a part of the Jewish society. Next one, the temple. Next important area that we should look into is the temple. Tell me, how many temples were there, or what is the stages of Jerusalem temple? Please tell me. All of you know that. Okay, tell me, what was there existed before the temple?
Tabernacle, sir.
Tabernacle. And who was the one who established the first temple?
Solomon, sir.
Solomon. It was in most probably 9th century. Okay, 9th century or 10th century BCE. Solomon built the first temple. That is called as the first temple of Jerusalem. First Jerusalem temple. When it was destroyed, any idea?
586 BC, sir, by Nebuchadnezzar.
Okay, 586 BC under by whom? By Babylonians. By Nebuchadnezzar, Babylonians. Okay, so that is the time period from 9th century till 6th century. The first Jerusalem temple was there, built by Solomon. That is what we call as Solomon's temple, first Jerusalem temple. Now, after that, what is happening? After the destruction of Jerusalem temple in 586, what is happening? They were gradually taken into captivity. They were going away from the temple, and they were in the Babylonian land. Okay, so you can imagine. I don't know how many of you we will be able to understand the pain that they are having without the temple, because temple and all were really part and parcel of Jewish religion, their piety. Okay, without the temple, they cannot exist. This was the idea. Can you tell me one example from Psalms, where we see what is the condition of Babylonian captivity? Please read Psalms 137. If you read Psalms 137, you will clearly understand without the temple what is their feeling. Please read 137 onwards. Yeah.
By the waters of Babylon, there we sat down and wept when we remembered Zion.
Next
On
verse
the willows, On the willows there we hung up our lyres.
Yeah, enough. Just wait, just wait. We will read further also. Verse 1 is telling, by the rivers of Babylon, we sat and wept. So that means they are in Babylon, in captivity. They are near the Babylonian river. And they are sitting there together and crying. Why? They lost their land. They lost their temple. So they are crying there. And verse 2, upon the willows, in the midst of it, we hung our harps. What is the meaning? Jewish people were called to be singers because they used to compose and sing so many good songs. That is why we see Psalms. David, Solomon, Asaph, and all were good singers. A worship team was there in the Jerusalem temple. So they were known in the world to be good singers. They had, in today's context, keyboard, guitar, trumpet, drums, and all. Okay. Anyway, keyboard and all were not there during those days, but lyre, harp, trumpet, and all were there. Okay. So with that, they used to sing earlier. Now, by the rivers of Babylon, they are crying. And what do? They brought their harps. That means that they brought their trumpets and put it upon a tree and telling, we don't want to sing anymore. No more songs, no more composing, no more joy, no more happiness. Why? We lost our land and we lost our temple. And what is happening in verse 3? Please read verse 3.
For there our captors required of us songs, and our tormentors mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion.
Yeah, the captors, that means those who are the rulers or some people from Babylon, they came and told them, Jewish people of Palestine, you were good singers earlier. Please sing a song for us. You are good singers, sing a song for us. And what was their reply? How can we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land? We are not in our land. We are away from the land. We don't have the Jerusalem temple. How can we sing a song away from the land? And if you read verse 5, if I forget you, Jerusalem, may my right hand forget her skill. So they are thinking about the Jerusalem temple. If I forget the Jerusalem, may my right hand forget the skill. Okay, so that means the Jerusalem temple and the land was really, really important for the Jewish people. Now, after Solomon's time, during the time of Babylonian captivity, it is gone. The temple is destroyed. Okay, and now let us come back to the point. There, somebody is building the second temple. By whom? Second temple was built by whom?
Ezra.
Ezra and all came back. Okay, and Ezra was the one who gave leadership for writing down and collecting of the materials. But Ezra was not the one who built. Zerubbabel, very good. Zerubbabel, Joshua, son of Zadok, and all were the ones who built the second temple. That is why this second temple is called as Zerubbabel's temple. Okay, second temple. So second temple was built by 5th century BCE. Okay, second temple was built in 5th century BCE by Zerubbabel. And that continued till when? That second temple continued till when?
70 AD, sir.
AD 70. AD 70. In AD 70, even after Jesus' death, even after Paul and Peter's death, in AD 70, the Jerusalem temple was destroyed. Okay, keep in mind, in AD 70, the Jerusalem temple, Zerubbabel's temple, was destroyed. Okay, keep that in mind. We need that when we discuss about Matthew's gospel and also keep that in mind. The destruction of Jerusalem temple, second temple, was happening in AD 70. Okay, so ultimately there were two Jerusalem temples. First one is Solomon's temple that was destroyed in 587, 86. Then again it was rebuilt in I think it was in 530. I will give the exact dates in the notes. 530 somewhere. Then from there onwards, it is called as Zerubbabel's temple, and it existed till AD 70. All right, that is all about the temple. Temple was really an important thing in Jewish idea. Next one is land. We already looked at that. Land was also, the promised land was also very important. Even now, you can look at the today's historical world. Even now, they are fighting for their land because that was promised to Abraham. It was given to Abraham, all that land, but afterwards it was taken by other people. So even now, people are fighting for their land. A small portion of it they were given, but not completely. All right, the land. Next one is monotheism. What is the meaning of monotheism?
Single God, sir.
Single God, or only one God. Monotheism, only one God. Jewish people were strongly believe in monotheism, only one God, only one God. Do you know what is Shema concept? In the Old Testament, do you know what is Shema concept? Can you read the verse? Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God and the Lord is one. So Deuteronomy chapter 6 is called as Shema. Shema means hear, O Israel. And what is declared? The Lord is one. So only one God is there. And in the next verse it is written, you should teach this to your children. So teaching the children of the religious activities and all is very important in the Jewish world. Teaching them monotheism. Only believing in only in one God was really an important aspect of Jewish religion. Our time is almost over. Anyway, we will look into next one also. Synagogue. Synagogue. What is the meaning of synagogue? We can divide synagogue, that word, into two. Synagoge. Okay, synagoge. Sun means together. Gog or ago means come. So synagogue means to bring together or come together. Synagogue was a place where people could gather together. All right. Synagogue was a place where people could gather together. In fact, do we see synagogues in the Old Testament? Anywhere in the Old Testament or anywhere in the prophetical writings? No. Only in the New Testament we see synagogue. Why? Because synagogue was a later development, especially in between the 400 years intertestamental period. During that time, synagogue were established everywhere. Why? Because I told you, Antiochus Epiphanes and the persecution. During that time, people had to run away to different places. Away from the Jerusalem temple, they had to run away to different places. So when they gather together there, they need a space of worship, and they built the synagogues. Okay, that is what the origin of synagogues. So synagogue was also another Jewish identity. Next one is Sabbath. Sabbath, the day of rest. Seventh day is sabbatical day for them. So this was also another major aspect in the Jewish religion. Anyway, we will continue in the next class. Keep all these thing in the mind. Torah, temple, land, monotheism, synagogue, and Sabbath. These were some of the main aspects in Jewish religion, and we need this background for studying the New Testament. We will wind up here today's class.